how historians and folklorists wrote about African American conjure. A lot more of this is going to be on my main page, but I'm going to put some of it here as well. So, how they wrote about African American conjure and their biases that shaped what we hear today. So, for a long time, conjure, and that included healing, charms, divination, and root work, was described through a white Christian Anglo American lens. In the 1800s, they called it a relic of barbarism. That's what we call racist evolutionism, ranking African traditions as primitive and savage while putting Christianity on top as the so called peak of human thought. By the early 1900s, that tone shifted, but not for the better. Instead of being dangerous, conjure was treated like a curiosity, a leftover, something old-fashioned and quaint, and that's what I would call romantic condescension. Hoodoo wasn't respected, but it was patronized. And white academics like Newell Niles Puckett, who I've talked about, and Harry Hyatt, wrote these massive collections of hoodoo stories, but they often treated it as folklore, entertainment, not a living faith. But then you have Zora Neale Hurston, who actually trained with root workers. She brought insider knowledge, not just outsider judgment. Her work is still groundbreaking because she refused to dismiss conjure as a relic or antique. She showed it was alive, powerful, and central to Black culture. But not all that bias disappeared. In the 1970s, Eugene Genovese wrote that Black folk beliefs only helped slaves ease into Christianity, which he called the higher realm of thought. That's Eurocentric hierarchy right there in our faces. It's treating Christianity as superior and African spirituality as childish. It's also the dismissal of African agency because enslaved people didn't just stumble into Christianity, they reshaped it, blended it, and held onto their own practices at the same time, because what do? We can always turn around and make something our own. But that line of thinking is what we call assimilationist framing, suggesting that the real purpose of conjure was to fade away into white religion instead of being valuable on its own. But here's the part those historians often missed. Conjure didn't just vanish once Christianity took root. For many people, it worked alongside their church life, and that's the key. Conjure handled the day-to-day needs that Christianity couldn't or wouldn't. Things like protection, justice, healing, fertility, finding balance in a world that was stacked against you. So instead of being non-essential, conjure was the glue that held life together where the church stopped short. So what does all of this, I guess, mean for us today? And again, I have some videos on my main page about this. It basically means that when we read about hoodoo in old books, we have to recognize the filters: racist evolutionism, romantic condescension, and Eurocentric hierarchy. But it also means we can choose a different frame, one that honors conjure as essential, resilient, and alive. Not a superstition, not a relic, but a system of survival, healing, and power that carried our ancestors through, honestly, some of the toughest times imaginable.